I can't afford that. The timing isn't just right. Once things settle down, then I will decide. You've said one of those this week. I want you to audit your week for a second. How many times has that automatically come up? That is what I call a poverty consciousness, and that is sabotaging all your dreams. And you've probably said that more than once. And every time those words leave your mouth or run through your head when no one's listening, you're not making decisions the way your goal demands. Now, I don't want you to feel bad because I used to do that, but I used to be losing. There's a reason. Change is always linguistic first. We have to get in control of our language. Every time you're doing that, you're casting a vote for the version of you who stays exactly where you are. I want to say that one more time. Until you discipline your language and start speaking wealthy words, you are casting a vote, and that vote is keeping you exactly where you are, no matter how hard you're working. There's a language wealthy people speak that right now you're not speaking. By the end of this video, you're going to be unable to speak the old one without catching yourself. But before I give you this language, I'm going to give it to you word for word. You need to understand what's actually at stake here. This isn't vocabulary. It's not positive thinking. It's not manifestation in the way most people misuse the word. I've sat in rooms with people running 6-figure businesses, 7-figure businesses, 8-figure businesses, and 9-figure businesses. And I've sat in rooms with people who've grossed $5 million and still feel poorer than somebody making $200,000 a year. The difference was never the spreadsheet. It was the sentences they allowed to live inside their own head. And here's the part nobody tells you. Every dollar you've earned gets quietly translated by your subconscious mind. And it brings it back to you by the language of who you were before you earned it. That's why the money comes in and somehow it leaves. That's why the next level keeps feeling like it's behind the glass. It's not a discipline problem. It's not a translation problem. It's a thinking problem. And the real cost isn't financial. The real cost is how much time you're wasting sabotaging yourself. Now, if I got you just to think back over the last few days, what was your language? Was it consistent with financial abundance, or was it consistent with constantly holding back, hesitating, procrastinating, and scarcity? Here's what we're going to do for the rest of this video. I'm going to give you 5 phrases, 5 sentences you're using right now that are quietly, subtly in the background keeping you exactly where you are. And for each one, I'm going to give you the wealthy person's translation. The words that rewrite your whole subconscious conditioning. By the time we're done, you won't just hear these phrases. You're going to start understanding how fast you change your language, how fast things start changing in your outside world. Phrase number 1, the most common one, the most innocent sounding one, I can't afford it. I want you to pause for a second. And I want you to ask yourself, how many times do you say this? Now, I'm going to give you a second to pause. I want you to think, do I say that a couple times a day? Do I say it all day long? See, I remember I used to say it all day long when I was losing. But when I started understanding how important our language is, that is planting a seed inside our subconscious mind. I disciplined myself to really get so good at rejecting those ideas and only accepting what I wanted. I want you to ask yourself, why do you say I can't afford it? Because you're letting your present results control you. Now, what if you decided to become the most disciplined thinker you've ever met, and you detach from the present results? Because what are present results? All they are a manifestation of our past thinking, past actions, past decisions. They're not a result of what we're capable of creating in the future. Now, I want you to notice something the next time it leaves your mouth. It doesn't sound like a wealth problem. It sounds like math. It sounds responsible. It sounds like the answer of a smart, financially literate adult who knows their numbers. It's not. I can't afford. It is a sentence that ends a conversation. It closes the door. You are telling your subconscious mind that I'm not good enough, that I do not have the capability to attract more into my life, that the price of the thing is greater than me, that the problem is permanent, and there's nothing left to figure out. It is a verdict. It's an acceptance of an idea in a deep subconscious part of you. It's not a question. The wealthy don't say this, not because they have unlimited money. Many of them have less liquid cash than you'd assume, but because they have a different default sentence. Their default is, how can I afford it? Or what would have to be true for me to attract the resources to afford this? Much different phrase. Or sometimes simply, is this worth me figuring out the how? See, when there is a big enough reason to do something, we always find a way. Now, I always give this example in my seminars. I say, if you have kids and you didn't have health insurance, but your child broke their arm, and you had to find $5,000 to get your child out of the pain, would you find it? And everyone says, oh, for sure I'd find it. Then I say, well, why don't you do that for yourself? See, we've got to start valuing ourselves. But if you notice the difference between a poverty mindset and a wealth mindset in those two differences in sentences, they don't end the conversation, they open one. They put your brain to work instead of putting it to sleep. We're creative beings living in a physical body. You and I have been gifted enormous potential. We are hardwired for an extraordinary life. But why are 98% of people struggling? Because they have no control over their thinking. Our greatest responsibility in life is to think. And I mean thinking in a certain way. What is that certain way? The way you want to live. But most people, that 98%, they assume the problem is the problem. It just is what it is. This is just my life. Don't fall for that. You are a creative being. You can create whatever you want when you have enough emotional reasons for it. Now, I want you to put in the chat right now, if you are serious about changing your financial blueprint, because earning money is not the hard part. Deciding to earn money is what people never do. I would love for you to type freedom. And I want it in big caps and speak it into existence if you're ready to change your financial blueprint. Now, let me show you what's actually happening on a deep subconscious level. Every time you say, I can't afford it, you are training your subconscious mind to register every meaningful opportunity is out of reach. You are reinforcing the identity of someone for whom money is something that happens to other people. And then you wonder why, 3 years later, you still feel like every level above you is gated by something invisible. It's not invisible. You build the gate. You built the sabotage, sentence by sentence. So here's the swap. Take I can't afford it out of your vocabulary entirely. Not gradually, but I want you to make a firm commitment. You are never going to say that again. And in its place, you're going to swap it with one of three sentences. How would I afford it? What would have to happen for this to be true? Or if the real answer is no, I'm choosing not to do it right now. The last one is honest. It's a decision. It puts you back in the driver's seat. The first sentence makes you a passenger. Now I know what some of you are thinking, Arash, isn't this just word games? Isn't this just dressing up the same reality? Hold that thought, because in a few minutes I'm going to show you why it isn't with phrase number 3. But first, there's a sentence that's even more dangerous than this one, because at least I can't afford it sounds like a decision. It's a costly one, but it's a decision. And it's the exact reason most of you have been stuck for the last 3 years. Now, before I go to phrase number 2, I want to show you how fast this changed in my life. Now, stories sell only because I implemented them. I remember I was $150,000 in debt. I had no idea how I was going to save my house. I had a big foreclosure sticker on my garage. Well, when this was taught to me about automatic negative thoughts and automatic positive thoughts, I made a commitment that I was only going to speak automatic positive thoughts into existence. Anyhow, so every time I'd get a bill, I'd speak it into existence that it was a check. I'm so grateful for this $2,000 payment I just received. And I did it for 30 days. I'd spend $10,000 a day in my mind. Well, everything started shifting in my favor. That's why I say, I know this works because I've been on both sides. I've been on the freedom side and I've been on the struggle bus. The struggle bus wasn't very fun with me, and I was willing to do whatever it took because I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. But just like Schwartz says in The Magic of Thinking Big, we're either speaking abundance into existence or we're speaking our funeral. He used the word castles, I just switched it with abundance. So I promise you, if you look at your results, results are always neutral. It's the data. Results tells us what we've been speaking into existence. So how's the process work? You feel certain thoughts, they create certain actions that cause you to be in inaction or take massive action that creates results. So understand this is working whether you believe it or not. Now, phrase number 2, I'm trying. This is like, these words right now, trying, are like nails on a chalkboard for me. You know what it is? Let me give myself a safety way out. It's not a commitment. Remember, everything follows commitment. I'm asking you to commit to change your language. I'm asking you to understand change is always linguistic. Until I change my language, my results are not going to change. Now, I'm trying to figure it out. I'm still not deciding. I'm working on it, still not deciding. And nothing happens until we decide how we're going to live, who we're going to be and who we're not going to be. I want you to feel into how often this comes out of your mouth. Somebody asked, how was your month? How were sales? I'm trying to figure it out the next thing. How many times have you used the word try? There's 3 words we have to eliminate. Try, need, and but. All those 3 words are associated with scarcity. So every time you say try, I'm going to try this. I need to earn more money, but what if this doesn't work out? All you're doing is drawing lack, limitation, worry, doubt, and fear into your life. Somebody asks you about how your relationship going, how the new hire is, how your sales are going. I'm working on it. Somebody asks you about your future. I'm trying to figure that out. Try is sabotage. It feels humble. It feels honest. It feels like the answer of someone who's still in the process, and it's going to overpromise, and it's killing you. Eliminate that word, because I'm trying is the language of someone who has not yet decided. And the subconscious doesn't reward effort, it rewards identity, it rewards commitment, and it rewards decisions. But what it rewards the most is natural discipline. What I'm asking you to do, and I'm training you in this video, is to discipline your thinking. I never had to discipline my activities. If I discipline my thinking, my activities automatically change. So if you're trying to figure out who you are, what you want, where you're going, then your subconscious doesn't commit resources. Your job is to decide, how do you really want to live? I want you to ask yourself right now, are you living the way you truly want to live, or are you living the way based on your past habits? Why would you do that? Why did I do that for years? Ignorance. I was ignorant. I didn't know. But now that you're watching this video, you know you are writing your destiny right now. But every time you're not clear about how you want to live, you lost all your creativity. You lost all your commitment. And what happens is you're creating the same results year after year and driving yourself crazy. Why? Because you know you're capable of more. Like, how many of you right now watching this knows they're capable of more? You don't have a capability problem. You have a willingness problem. Why? Because your language is in what's missing. Now, we've got to eliminate in our language ever speaking about what's missing, what currently is, and what others want for us. We've got to eliminate that. Because as far as you're concerned, if you don't speak wealthy thoughts, you're never going to have a wealthy life. But the wealthy individuals, they're just like you and me. We're all the same. Everybody is one. Everybody has access to one mind. Everyone has unlimited potential. Everyone is hardwired for success. But the wealthy have a very different language. Their language is, I'm building. They don't say I'm trying. Their language is, I'm becoming. Their language is, I'm in the middle of a massive quantum leap. So they're speaking what they want with conviction into their life. And this is the most powerful one. They speak in the past tense about the future. By the end of this year, I will have already crossed the threshold of $1 million, $5 million, whatever they want. By the time we talk again, this is already going to be in place. They're putting themselves on the hook. Listen to the way an operator running $100 million business talks. They don't say, I'm trying to figure out how to scale. They say scaling is just what I do. I scale like I eat breakfast. It's just who I am. They don't say, I hope we hit that number. They say, we're hitting that number, regardless of appearances. And this isn't bravado. It's not lying. It's linguistic posture of somebody who has already decided. And now in the work of making it real, the world is catching up to them. But here's the test. I want you to listen to yourself for the next 3 days. Every time you hear yourself say, I'm trying, stop. Remember, we never finish a negative sentence. Replace it. I'm building. I'm becoming. This is who I am. This is automatic for me. If you can't say one of those three, now I gave you more than 3, so I gave you about 5. This is important data. Rewind this and write it in your notes and brain tattoo it. Watch the subtle changes that are going to start happening. If you don't follow through with what I'm telling you after this video and do it for the next 7 days, you're not going to make it a habit. But that also is telling you, I haven't actually decided. I'd rather binge information than implementation. I want you to get so good at implementation. Implementation of following direction is what creates transformation. So stop circling the runway. No amount of effort is going to take off until you decide. So here's the reframe. And this is the one I want you to write down where you could see it every day. Trying is not who I am. Building is who I am. This is my identity. This is my standard. Now here's where it gets super interesting because phrase 3 is going to blow you away. It's going to feel personal. It's a sentence you've said in the last 24 hours, and it's the sentence that's quietly telling your subconscious that the outcome is not yours. You're not owning it. So phrase number 3, I hope this works. You launch something, the new offer, the new strategy, the new ad, the new hire, the new conversation, and as it goes out, the sentence comes back. Sometimes you say it out loud. Sometimes it's just running in the background of your mind. I hope this works. I did my best. I hope this works. I want you to own it. You know it's going to work. The minute you decide it is working, it's going to start working in your favor. You may have to adjust and adapt, but things are going to constantly, the world will rearrange itself to follow your language. But let me show you what's wrong with hope. Napoleon Hill said it. Wishing and hoping have no power. You have to demand success. What is he saying? Demand. I am going to own it. This is who I am. Hope is a sentence you say when you don't have control. So you're not in control of your mind. You hope it doesn't rain on the wedding. You hope the flight isn't delayed. Hope is appropriate for things outside of your control. But your business is not outside of your hands. Your income is in control of you. Yeah, you heard it. No one is going to limit your income but you. I want you to decide how much money you're going to earn. So your offer is not a coin flip. And the moment you adopt the language of hope towards something you actually have agency over, you are quietly sabotaging yourself. Now, this is what I call decision before evidence. Now, if you're going to create wealth, you have to brain tattoo it. This is the one identity-based behavior that is crucial for wealth. You decide before evidence. The wealthy don't hope their offer works. They've already decided the offer works. The launch is just where everyone else finds out. The deal is going to close. They are going to earn the income. They're going to create the revenue. And understand this. You're going to hear this, and a part of you is going to say, but Arash, what if it doesn't work? And here's the answer. If it doesn't work, you adjust and you decide again. You have to understand delayed gratification. If it's not working immediately, you haven't put the reps in yet. You haven't put the planning and training your mind yet, but it will work if you understand it. See, you got to understand delayed gratification is one of the key characteristics of building a world-class life. Think of the bamboo tree. You plant the seed of the bamboo, and then what happens? Nothing happens for 5 years. And between 5 years and 6 weeks after 5 years, it grows 90 feet in the air. And the year 6, it goes all the way up into the sky. See, that's just like the foundation of the bamboo tree is what your language is every day. You can't see it ascending, but it's creating the strength, The roots are so strong. And that's why everything starts and ends with two things, decision and language. The decision is never about the outcome. It's about which version of you shows up to do the work. And remind yourself, the work works when I work the ideas. The hoping version waits for evidence to tell them who they are. The deciding version brings the evidence. That's the entire game. So here's the swap. Take I hope out of your vocabulary for anything you have control over. The new sentence is, I've decided, this is who I am, this is my identity. If someone asks you how the launch is going, how your sales are going, how your relationship going, how life is going, you say it is going better than ever. You say it's going well, and here's what I'm going to do about it. Even if you're scared to put yourself on the hook, I want you to speak your castles into existence. And understand, the reason this matters is everybody is listening, especially your subconscious mind. The version of you that hopes raises a family of people who hope. The version of you that decides raises a family of deciders. You're picking which one with every sentence. Now, if phrase 3 was about your relationship to outcome, phrase 4 is about your relationship to effort. And it might be the most expensive one for you specifically. Because if you're someone who has used effort to solve every problem you've ever had, it's about to stop working. Phrase number 4, I just need to grind harder. That's why your results keep going up and down, up and down. I just need to put in more hours. Results up and down, up and down. Why? Because it leads to burnout, not systems. We've got to create clear systems. That's what I'm teaching you in this video. What about, I'll just work harder and then I'll figure it out. You're going to live a very unfulfilled life. Success is effortless. It's the acceptance of ideas. I want to be very careful with this one because the people watching this video, by and large, are not lazy. You're not lazy. I'm talking to you. When you're watching me, I'm not talking to thousands and thousands of people. I'm just talking to one person. That is you. You are a hard worker. You deserve success. You are already worthy and deserving of all the good you desire. Now, when I say that, what goes through you? Now I want you to put in the chat, worthy, because you are not going to attract what you don't feel worthy of. And I want you to own it. I want you to pause this right now and write the word worthy, because that's who you came into this world as, and that's how you're going to leave this world. That's not your problem. That has never been your problem. Your lack of understanding of worthiness is. But here's what I want you to consider. You are 40, 45, 50 years old. Maybe older, maybe younger. You've been working harder than the average person for 2 decades. If grinding harder was the answer, you'd already be living the life you want. The math doesn't work. You've already run the experiment. The experiment said no. So why does the sentence still come up? Because it's old conditioning. Because it's the only solution your identity allows you to consider. If the answer to a hard problem isn't more effort, then it has to be something else. And something else is uncomfortable because that something else means the problem isn't out there in the world. It's not the calendar. It's not the marketplace. It's not the opportunity. The something else means the problem is inside. It's always that I am the only problem I have and the only solution. It's in who I've been being. The wealthy don't grind harder. When something isn't working, they're the best quitters. They stop. They look at the strategy. They look at their daily disciplines. They observe the identity and the standard, and then they ask a different question. They ask, who would I have to become for this to be effortless? And then they become that person. They make a decision and they execute. The work that follows isn't less, but it's different. It's the work of someone operating from a higher floor. So here's your swap. The next time you catch yourself saying, I just need to grind harder, replace it with one of these. I am thinking differently. I am becoming someone from whom this isn't hard. Wealth is a natural expression of who I am. I am raising my standards, not my hours. All of these sentences point at the actual lever. Effort isn't the lever at your level. You've already maxed it. Identity is the lever. Identity is who you are. Identity is the most honest picture of how you see yourself on a deep subconscious level. And here's the part that will hurt most of you if you let it land. The reason you keep reaching for grinding and working harder is because it's the answer that doesn't require you to change. That's why most people never change. They think they listen to podcasts, they watch my YouTube videos, but it's the execution of working with a few ideas in a greater way. That's not grinding. That's working smarter, not harder. You can grind harder if you like to, but you're going to be the exact same person. I don't want that for you. When I changed my life, I had to change my habits. I started working with my mentor, Bob Proctor, 2 decades ago. And I did this unconsciously. I said, what are my hidden patterns that keep holding me back? Because I knew I couldn't show up as the same person, no matter the genius that Bob had, that I had to uncover my hidden commitments. Mine were stories that didn't serve me, excuses, and procrastination. And when I changed that, we got in sprinting in our mentorship time together. And I went from earning negative $150,000 foreclosure sticker on my garage to earning $1 million in 24 months. Now, if you would have told me that was going to happen, I would have been blown away. But it was one day at a time making these changes. So understand this. I didn't raise my identity overnight, but I changed my language overnight. I literally changed it overnight by only speaking to existence abundance. I want you to commit to yourself and me right now. You are going to be relentless about speaking only abundance thoughts, taking abundant actions, because you cannot raise your identity and stay the same person. One of those is comfortable, but only one of them works, change. Now, if you made it this far in the video, I want to acknowledge something. What I'm describing is guaranteed for success, but it's not easy. I'm not pretending it is. I'm asking you to look at how you are speaking into the world, what you're speaking. Look at your results. It'll tell us what we've been speaking. I want you to consider what it's been quietly costing you. How many millions of dollars in energy has it been costing you? How many opportunities has it been costing you where you get an opportunity and then you say, I'm going to try? That's a heavy thing to sit with, but I want you to hear the truth. The cost of not looking is much higher than the cost of looking at these things I'm asking you to become aware of. You already know that, or you wouldn't still be watching, which brings me to phrase number 5, the last one. Now, the most expensive one of them all, phrase number 5, when things settle down and the timing is right, someday, when the kids are older, when the income is stable, when I have more time, this is the sentence of losing. And I'm going to be direct with you, because if you're watching this video and you're in the second half of your life, this is the one that is robbing you in real time and you may have not noticed. Things never settle down. Everyone's busy. That's the punchline of the entire trick. There's no version of your life that arrives when the air is calm and the schedule is open and the bank account is full. And now finally I have the permission to live the life I've been postponing. I see this all the time. People will save until they retire and they say that's when I want to go on vacation. But what happens is they're too tired to go on vacation now. See, I want you to enjoy your life. I want you to decide this is going to be the best year of your life. I don't care when you're watching this. You could turn the best year into one moment. One decision changed my life. That's why you're one decision away right now of changing your life. But understand, if you keep postponing, that version of you that can create the most enormously abundant life doesn't even exist. Remember what I said earlier. You're hardwired for success. You and I have extraordinary potential. So it's not a capability problem. It's a willingness problem. And understand this, the people who appear to live that life, the ones you watch from a distance, did not arrive there by waiting. They arrived there by refusing to wait. They decided who they were going to become. The wealthy do not have a someday attitude. They collapse the timeline. They understand that time is the greatest leverage point. They understand time is a tool. They take the trip now. They have the conversation now. They do hard better. They make the investment now. They build it now because there's 3 words that will change your life. Do it now, do it now, do it now. Time is not a thing that's going to give them permission later. Time is the only resource they cannot manufacture. Time is our greatest asset. So they refuse to spend it on a future that might never arrive. When you say someday, and you say it more often than you realize, you're telling your subconscious mind that the life you actually want is conditional. It has to be in my comfort zone. And your subconscious just accepts it and then postpones the version of you that was supposed to be living it. So here's a swap. Take someday out of your mouth, replace it with an actual date. I'm going to do this by this date, and it is ironclad followed by a commitment. If someone asks when you're going to take the trip, next May. If someone asks you when you're going to start the project, right away. If someone asks when you're going to get in the best shape of your life, I decided to do it today. Even if it's not entirely true yet. The sentence always comes first. Language, language, language. And then the reality follows. I had a great mentor who used to say something I'll never forget. He said, Arash, your future does not arrive, you arrive at it. And I remember thinking, God, Bob, what do you mean by this? He said, until you decide, the future is never coming. And everything is decision. He said, we should be taught this in grade school. And boy, was he right. Everything is decision. Guess what you're doing when you're speaking every word into existence? That's a decision. You're either speaking poverty or you're speaking abundance. Creation happens twice. It happens in our mind, then in our physical reality. I want you to look at your house. There's a lot of things in your house that you wanted at some time, but it didn't just appear. You started it in your mind. Well, that's exactly how I want you to build your life. You decide in your mind what you're going to earn, how you're going to live, what type of experiences you're going to have. And then you discipline your thinking to become the mental equivalent and match that every single day in your language. Because once you understand it, I mean really understand it, things are going to start moving fast. And you're going to become the most dangerous person in your world. And what I mean dangerous in a good way, where you're going to decide and you're going to build more faith and confidence. Once I decide, I accept the idea and I get to work. And when you do that, everything is going to take you to one quantum leap, then another quantum leap, then another quantum leap, then another quantum leap. And then everyone's going to come to you and say, what have you been doing? What have you been doing? And then all you're going to say is, I decided I was going to create a life of freedom because my family and I deserve it. So when you start bulletproofing your language, I'm telling you, everything is going to change. But sometimes, what happens if you say, but Arash, I really can't afford it? Well, I'm going to say, can you afford not to do it? That's the language. What do I mean by that? Your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between something that's real or something that's vividly imagined. So I'm not asking you to be reckless. I'm asking you to be creative. I'm asking you to understand the laws of your mind and get them to work for you. Your subconscious mind is creating 96 to 98% of all your results. So I don't want you to try. I want you to decide. I want you to only speak into existence what you want to experience. At every seminar, I tell my clients this. Do not plant anything in your imagination that you don't want to experience in your life. And they go, what do you mean? I said, every thought your imagination takes to your subconscious mind. So if you don't want to experience it in your life, you don't speak it. I want you to sit with that. And I want you to really commit to doing that. Because at some point, the version of you you're protecting is the version of you have to be willing to outgrow. And that doesn't happen by accident. It happens because you decided to speak differently starting today. So here's where we are. 5 phrases. I can't afford it. I'm trying. I hope this works. I just need to grind harder. Someday I'll do it. 5 sentences you said this week, all of which were quietly programming you for exactly the life you're sick and tired of being sick and tired of. And the 5 replacements, how can I afford it? I'm building. I've decided. I am becoming the version of me that only speaks into existence what he wants or she wants. Now or by this date. Now, here's what I want you to do. 7-day test. For the next 7 days, audit your thinking. Listen to yourself. Don't finish a negative sentence. Don't change anything yet. Just listen. You're going to find out a lot of valuable information. Notice how often the old sentences come up. Notice the situations that triggers them. Notice who you're with when you say them. The catching is the work. It's the audit. And it's the audit that is going to create a world-class life for you. The audit is what creates the gap between the old identity and the new one. And then you're going to start replacing it one at a time. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be honest. Every time you swap one of these sentences, you are casting a vote for the version of you who's already on the other side of where you've been stuck. And those votes, they're compounding, they're real. Your subconscious is counting. And your subconscious always is impulsive. So it works on what you repeatedly think about, your repetitive actions. I hope this has hit you in the gut because I know what it did for me. I know what it's done for my clients. So I wanted to do something very special for you. I put together something that goes way deeper than what we covered today. And what we covered today was amazing. It's a blueprint that walks you through the full language of wealth. Not just these 5 phrases, but I created the underlying operating system that produces them. The internal dialogue, the standards, the daily script. It's free. And the link is in the description below this video. Now, if today landed the way I think it's going to, the blueprint is the next step. But before you go, I want to leave you with this. The reason you're not where you want to be is not what you've been telling yourself. It's not the economy. It's not the timing. It's not anything outside of you. It's your thinking. It's your language. It's the sentences you've allowed to live unchallenged inside your own head year after year. And the fastest way to change a life is to change the language of the person living it. Now remember this, wealth is not something you chase, it's something you become. And the becoming starts with what you say next. I'll see you in the next video.